On Monday, I highlighted a concern and video sent by a parent in Aberdeen who had knowledge of another English for speakers of other languages class in the primary school and nursery school setting in Aberdeen. That's Seaton Primary School. And I got out a video on Monday that's follow up by a group in Aberdeen to organise a protest at the school today. And the protest, despite fears from Stand Up to Racism, etc., telling you that these were well-built bunch of people, racists and troublemakers with a history of violence, anyway, without any issue. Now, the local paper, the Press and Journal up there, I must admit, I was expecting when I read this article to have a little bit more one-sided. It's actually quite balanced for what I was expecting. It's not completely fair, actually. I would say there's some small things. But as we've seen with other protests at schools, the press can sometimes really weigh in heavy with a really one-sided article when it tends to be written by an activist of a journalist. This, to be fair, to Chris Promer, who thinks it's some slightly more unbalanced pieces in the past. This one is a wee bit more unfair, to be honest. Oh, as I say that, it's probably veering a wee bit towards the counter protest. But I would suggest March out of 10 is probably a 3 or 4, when it would normally be a 1 or a 2, right? So their headline is, what really happened at controversial anti-asylum seeker protest outside Aberdeen Primary School? The gathering was organised after it was learned that asylum seekers have been learning English at an adjacent community centre. They used this once again. They're all on one campus. The doors to the class look out to the nursery school playground, as you can see the vetting data on Monday. So a wee bit cute words there, to be fair to you, Chris, but give you a wee pass for today. Now, tensions are high here ahead of the controversial anti-asylum seeker protest at an Aberdeen primary school today. I kind of think, although the thing was organised by a group called Aberdeen Against Illegal Migration, which is obviously anti-asylum seeker, I don't think that was the main problem. The main problem is you get adults being taught on a campus with kids from 2, 3-year-old up to about 11-year-old. That's kind of the problem. The fact that they're migrants just is a fact of it, not really the main concern, I would suggest. But you can imagine with cases that we've seen with a lot of migrant hotels there, in Falkirk and Herping and Ballymena, where there's been attacks by migrants or young people. That just adds to the flavour. A small group rallied by Aberdeen Against Illegal Immigration gathered at Seaton Primary. It's understood that asylum seekers from Don Street, I don't think it's understood, I think that's actual fact, where protesters have already taken place, had been attending English classes within the adjacent community centre. It's no adjacent, it's the same bloody thing. It's a campus where community centre, a nursery and a primary school running. So learn to tell the facts on that. About 25 people attended the protest, while a handful attended a counter-protest on Seaton Place. The protesters held up various signs, including ones that read "Locals before illegals" and "Protect our children." Two things that I think the majority of the country would consider fair. Organisers said they had concerns about the safety of children and women in the area. Opponents of the protest, these will be people who don't have concerns for children and adults, women in the area, obviously, including some parents and the education convener, Martin Gregg. Surprise he turned. It said it had no business being held in proximity to the school and pupils. Unlike at most other events organised by anti-asylum groups, there were no music and no microphones in use. The occupants of a flat across the road from the school, however, this book did play music, including anti-Sir Keir Starmer song and patriotic Scottish tunes. I can imagine they were singing, possibly rhyming with Keir Starmer is a bad old drinker. Something like that. Anyway, I was there at the club where heralded the protest and spoke to parents on both sides, says Goose. To be fair, he did. During my time outside Seaton Primary, you could have mistaken the school for being closed. The curtains were drawn and there were no signs of pupils in the playground. I was there for the entire event and spoke to parents who were part of the protest and counter-protest to hear what they had to say. One said they were really concerned about the presence of asylum seekers being taught so close to the school, but another told me the protest was horrible, and he said there was no need for children to be drawn into the issue. I don't think anybody is drawing children into the issue. Children have been drawn in by the people who put the flags there. They've already been drawn in. People just highlight how stupid it is when I'm quite sure the people organising this class, like many others across Scotland, could quite easily organise these classes at different facilities where there was zero risk to anybody. Okay? And I'll come into this in a minute. There's something I'm sniffing about just now, and it appears to me, because I'm thinking, why suddenly we hear all these schools opening up, even this week? 3 new schools that have been identified to me have just started doing these classes. And it looks like it's because there's a pot of money that they can only get if they do it to parents of school children. So you have a school, you say that's for parents only, and you can attract some funding. So it seems to me, and I will be doing more investigating on this, and I'll do a video on it when I've got enough information, but it does appear to me that this may possibly be the driver in why you're seeing an increase all of a sudden of these classes in schools, when for years there have been libraries, sports centres, community halls, these places where children are not left all day. These places that would be safer. Anyway, where did we get? Aberdeen City Council said pupils had been out in the playground at lunchtime and break as normal. No problem for the children. On Wednesday, AAIM, that's Aberdeen Against Legal Migration, posted on their Facebook page, children will be present and it's our responsibility to show them strength through calm, controlled action, not shouting and aggression. And fair play to them. They're normally at Migrant Hotels protesting, where you can imagine there's a different flavours, a different volume, and fair play to them for reminding people of this beforehand, and they sealed to have carried out this protest in that type of vein. But Aberdeen City Council's education convener, Councillor Martin Gregg, who's already been there doing me puff pieces about how terrible this is, and asylum seekers are great people, all that sort of stuff, he described the protest plans as calculated troublemaking. Martin obviously can't read, because when the group organising this are telling people to remain calm, controlled, no shouting, no aggression, and you're already saying this was who was talking about the plans, this is the head talking after the event, that they were calculated troublemaking. The only person that seems calculated the troublemaking is you, Martin. And he said it was worrying that this was to take place outside the school. Now here's something that I kind of hasn't missed lately. Martin is concerned for adults being outside the school. Martin has no concerns for adults inside schools. Can you make that make sense for me, please? Because that sounds like a proper stupid thing to say. I've not got concerned with unvetted males and adults coming into a school, but I've got a problem with concerned adults outside the school. Same ludicrous things that we heard comments with us after Mallock protest on Monday. One journalist, Xander, who seemed to have made a bit famous since Monday, told us all, look at there's 4 years left and these wee kids in here will be so concerned. They'll be so to think of the kids. Says, Martin, you're advocating for adults to be inside the building. These people are outside the building, outside the gate, and by the way, you couldn't see any windows with classrooms show where we were standing. So they kind of argue their own arguments against themselves. They're pretty weird bunch, these people. Anyway, on Thursday, however, it's today, the event itself passed largely without incident. When you say largely, what do you mean, Chris? Was there something that happened that wasn't like totally without incident? What incidents did you forget to tell us, right? Because if you didn't forget to tell us about any incidents, then it's not largely without incident. It was without incident, full stop. A small number of police were in attendance, but they had little to deal with. Well, was it little to deal with or nothing to deal with, Matt? What did the police have to deal with? You were there telling us, we were there to report and we were on. You're now telling us that it had little to deal with, not nothing. So what was it? Kind of missed it out, did you? And it went largely without incident. Just be honest. Nothing happened. was no bother, and the police had headed out. Bar ordered donuts for lunchtime and their phones, right? So, where did we get to? Those who gathered also kept some distance from the school gates. I don't know, it seems perfectly fair. Where other parents gathered to pick up youngsters after lessons, and with the school day finishing at 3 p.m, protesters ensured that the gathering was complete in time so that the children leaving were not affected. I'm sure they already posted it on PM Sat. Fair play. The only thing I think was a bit weird about this protest was there was classes on the Monday. I'm sure it was Monday morning. There'd be better protesting on a Monday morning when the class is on. It doesn't sound to me as if there was any classes on this afternoon between 1 and 3. Or maybe. But when I saw that, folk go, you know there's a class on Monday. Why do you want to do the protest like that? So they were protesting against something that wasn't held in that specific moment. Seemed a bit odd to me. And I'd imagine if they're going to follow this up, they would potentially do it when these people know what they are back to there. A parent of three at Seaton School, a parent of three Seaton School, Nick, who was at the protest with his other child, dismissed concerns raised by Councillor Gregg. Fair play, Nick. And he said of the asylum seekers, the doctors and others already go up to see them at Don Street, so why not the person that's teaching them English? It's a great point. We know that things happen in these asylum hotels, that services are provided on site, so I will just send the teacher up. But here's the kicker. Then you can't say it's for parents in the school, and you'll all get some of the funding that's available and me try to get your share of existing funds, right? So maybe that's why. That's kind of where my thoughts are, Nick. Another protester, a mum of two, who attended with her partner, they have two children at the school, including one in the nursery. She told the P&J it's absolutely horrendous. A lot of parents took their children out of school today because they were worried the children would be targeted. Who in their right mind, who's concerned about child safety, would target children at a school? People are mental, aren't they? Anyway, she says the school has a lot of children from all over the world. Yeah. And people that don't like kids and do bad things to kids, they'll no bother where people are from the world. So these kids could be irascible, like any others. So don't understand the point now. Anyway, on why she decided to put her two kids into school today, she added, because I trust the school and they're doing everything they can. They do a good job protecting the children from any of this. So, there you go. There's about 5 comments on here. Some of them were quite funny, so maybe do it. This is on the Press and Journal's website. 8 a.m. folk need to find a hobby, maybe start spelling classes. I, for one, support immigration into Scotland. It's absolutely necessary. It should be encouraged, alongside encouragement from homegrown Scots to have more kids. I agree with your last sentence there. There's no reason, Jack says, for anti-migrant protesters to be there. In fact, they would be safer with the migrants than their own dysfunctional fouls. Oh, that's quite a claim, Jack. Pretty disgusting claim, to be fair, but I claim none of this. Dina Kane, Dinny Kane, I think, and get lead on. Most campaigns have eloquent spokespeople willing and able to argue their case in the media. Yet this group seems to lurk in the shadows, anonymous, faceless, and hopefully just a little bit ashamed. Why do you think who do they think they're persuading by keeping kids cooped up in school? Well, the kids were cooped up in school, Dinny Ken, because the reporter's already told you that. You might not have read the article either, commenting on before commenting on it, but I'll tell you why they prop them. But to do with AAM, I'll be that hell of the protest back in the day, but I'm not part of their organisation. But I can probably explain you why they don't talk to the press, because any time they do, they've probably done it once or twice and their words totally mixed, so you can't blame them for not doing it again. And Sonic, we gave it this one. It would be a sad day if nobody stuck up for our kids' safety. Sanity at last. People have good concerns. We've mentioned their concerns. And Dinny Ken, he's come back into Sonic and said, indeed, well done, all those who tried to persuade those protesters to keep away from the primary school. Dinny Ken, Disney Ken, does he? So, there we go. If you like this, you want us to see it, click the thumbs up, put your comments below, hit the share button. If you've not already done so, or do you think you've already done so, please double check. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, unless you're the type of crackpot like the teacher, the publicist, the name again, the council that came out with just a ridiculous thing. Who's this councillor Bob guy? Unless are people like him, right? There's got no concerns for people, adults coming into a school, but has concerns with people that are outside the school. No, you, because you're just cracks. Everyone else have a great day. Cheery bye now.